Greetings. My name is Lance Bell. Here in the greater Akron area this past Friday, presidential candidate Jill Stein of the Green Party was in town. Now, let everybody know, due to prior commitments, I could not attend. But Matt Marton actually recorded the video for us to view. Now, I will say this. This was actually some hard work getting her to come to town. And as you already probably know what happened down in Columbus the same day. Now, I'm hoping that she will be back here in the area soon before the election. Now, believe it or not, this is the only video I've seen of the entire speech. And I got to go after every single media outlet here in Northeast Ohio, not because they're bad, but because nobody even had video of this. Now, I was going to be there, but like I said, due to prior commitments, I could not. Now, let some people know there was actually some post-production issues that I had. Now, for starters, this is the highest quality video you're going to see that I can get. And a lot of that's because the original recording, due to the frame rate. Now, I did the best as I could. Now, I had to do some creative editing on this, and you'll see that in the video. Also, I tried to upgrade the sound quality as much as I could. And folks, I apologize in advance for that. Now, hopefully, like I said, she'll come to town again and it's some better video. But I'm going to get off here now, and here is her entire speech when she was in Cuyahoga Falls at the natatorium there.
It's such an honor to be here. And a big thank you to everyone who made this possible, who is completely transforming our political landscape and our future. Big thank you to all the burners. How many burners out there? And a big thank you to the Greens out there who've also been paving the way. And this combination of burners and Greens is marriage made in heaven. Together we are absolutely unstoppable. If you raise your hand, I just want to thank everybody who helped create this event tonight. Kevin Fay and Michelle Rosen and Vigi Michael, Kristen Nye, they're all in the back there if you want to see them. Matt Marton, and Aaron. Thank you all so much. And before I let it slip, a big thank you to Iman Paul Hassan. Thank you. And to Khalid Saman for helping lead the way. Thank you so much. And also to the two Green Party candidates here tonight. Joe Denar, our next Green candidate, our next Green U.S. Senator. And to Andrew Jarvie. Where's Andrew? All right, thank you, Andrew. Our next U.S. representative from the 14th District. So I am just in from L.A., where we had an incredible little gathering at the Bernie Cafe. I don't know if anybody has seen that. We live streamed it. But I definitely urge you to go to our Facebook page, Dr. Jill Stein, that's DR no period, and just take a look. It's a 30-minute live stream, and if you go to the last 5 minutes of it, you're going to find the most amazing song that I have heard in my life. Power to the people. Yes, it goes. And I cannot do this justice, but it's in my brain, you know how when some of those songs just take over? I have to listen to this every hour. I have to get my fix, you know how it is? So these are the lines that are burning into my brain right now. I refuse to fall in line. You can't have my vote because I'm voting for Jill Stein. No more fear-based voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm going green to bring the power to the people. I hope we have it on a video and as a commercial on primetime TV, because the song says it all much better than anybody can say it in regular words. But, you know, that's kind of how it is right now. We're being told lesser of two evils again. How's that working out for us exactly? It's a race to the bottom, and it just keeps getting worse. It's not like it's getting better. We know where this goes, and in the next race it will only be even more extreme. And we'll have more of a racist and a misogynist and a homophobist and an anti-Muslim Islamophobist. All these things that are absolutely unacceptable. Unfortunately, Hillary Clinton is not solving these problems. And for the terrible things that Donald Trump says, unfortunately, Hillary has a record for doing. It's not okay. It's not okay to say no Muslims may come to this country. That is not okay. But it's also not okay to be dropping bombs on Muslims.
Come on.
1 million people in the country of Iraq alone have been killed in that war in Iraq, and this is still ongoing. That's 1 million Muslims who have been killed in this outrageous war for oil, essentially.
That's it.
And, you know, it's important to remember, what are these wars costing us? It's almost half of your income taxes.
Come on.
It's 44% of your income taxes that are going to this bloated and dangerous military budget. It is 54% of our discretionary national budget,
That's right.
which is going to the Department of Defense. That doesn't even include $1 trillion designated by the Obama administration
Add it up.
for a new generation
Add it
of
up.
nuclear weapons.
Yes.
Is this what we need?
Add it up.
I don't think so. This is what we're going to stop. Right now we have 2,000 nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert. This is not what we need. We need to be dismantling
That's right.
the nuclear weapons, not
Deconstruct.
deconstruct.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. And we say deconstruct this entire military budget.
That's right.
Cut it in half. It is not more accurate. By cutting that military budget in half, we could actually begin to have a Department of Defense,
That's
not a Department of Offense. We have now approximately, we don't know exactly because they're not telling us, they don't count them. We have approximately 1,000 military bases in over 100 countries around the world. This is not what we need to be spending money on. We
That's
are
right.
getting ourselves in trouble. What do other countries do? How many foreign bases do other countries have? Well, if you add them all up, it comes to something like 30. And we have alone 1,000. What is wrong with this picture?
Come on now.
We cannot be the empire, the imperial power. It's not just the police force.
Thank God.
It is the reigning imperial power around the world. This is just not going to work. A reigning imperial power is a dying imperial power.
That's right.
Which is not making us safer, it's making us less safe.
That's right.
Let's consider what we have gotten. 2 wars, just 2 of them, and we've had many more, as we know. But just Iraq and Afghanistan alone, according to a recent Harvard study, is costing us, by the time we finish, paying for the health care of our wounded soldiers who we put in harm's way
Add it up.
in the first place. They deserve better medical care. They deserve mental health care. They deserve what we have in prevention. They deserve housing. They deserve jobs. They deserve much more than what they are getting. But right now, with this budget, it costs us, for these two wars, $6 trillion. This is according to a recent Harvard study, not known to be an institution of great conservatism, or shall we say, not known to be a institution of great radicalism.
That's right.
So, $6 trillion, according to Harvard's estimate. What do we have to show for it, actually? Failed states,
Come on.
mass refugee migration,
Come on.
and worse terrorist threats.
There you
It's not
go.
getting better,
That's
it is
right.
getting worse. It's time to challenge this mythology that this war on terror is doing anything but creating more terror.
That's right.
It is a
Add it up. Add it up.
You've heard of a guy, probably, named Zbigniew Brzezinski?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the guy who started this idea decades ago, back in the Carter administration. The beginning of the neocon movement.
That's right.
And this idea that America would dominate. This was the century for American domination of the Middle East and of Asia. And we would just take over the checkerboard, you know, one piece at a time. Well, guess what? He changed his mind.
Yeah.
He realized it's not working. He has said it's time to leave that policy of American domination behind us for once and for all. It's time to enter into the world community, not as the bully in the schoolyard, but as a member of the community of nations, and to begin to dialogue with other countries, to work out collaboration and cooperation, so we can have a world that works for all of us.
Peace.
And if he's coming over, you know, now we just got the rest of the neocons who are following him. They need to start listening, which is why we need to be in the presidential debates.
Right.
Yeah.
If we are not in the presidential debates, there will be no voice to end this era of imperialism. There will be no voice to fix the climate crisis because Donald wants coal, but Hillary wants fracking,
Right.
and they're both absolutely deadly. Neither one is okay. We do not have to settle for two equal choices.
Come on, man.
And there would be no voice for ending this crisis of immigration. Let's get down to this crisis of immigration, because this is a human rights crisis. And by the way, 65 million refugees around the world, largely, what are they fleeing from? America's wars
Right, that's right.
and poverty.
Right.
So we can fix this refugee crisis. And we say the most important way, or the most important thing that we can do about this crisis of immigration, let's stop causing it in the first place.
That's right.
It's the wars, it's NAFTA. What did NAFTA do? It put 3 million farmers out of business in Mexico. It forced economic refugees to come to this country to survive. That's what they are, economic refugees fleeing our predatory policies. But what does our government, led by Democrats, mind you, do in all of their wisdom? They criminalize them.
Of course.
They deport them. They put them into detention.
Right.
And they are night raiding. Who? Mothers and children who have fled from the military coup in Honduras that Hillary Clinton herself gave them thumbs up to. Yes, we'll cover up and the support for that security regime there in Honduras. This is a coup government Let's be clear about that. We are not in the business of funding coup governments. We need to cut off that funding right now. And the other source of migrants into this country has been, guess what? The war on drugs. 100,000 people in Mexico alone over the last 5 or 6 years have died from this violence in Mexico. What we need to do in this country is to treat drug problems as a health problem.
That's right.
Amen.
We all know what happened. We all know what happened during Prohibition. Once you ended the prohibition of alcohol, suddenly the street violence and the gang violence and the mafia violence surrounding it goes away. So, medical doctor, what I say is that marijuana is a substance which is dangerous because it's illegal. Inherently, it is less dangerous than alcohol and nicotine. The greatest danger is the danger to public health from the violence of that underground economy. So we say it's time to do a radical thing and use science in the rulings of the Drug Enforcement Agency and take marijuana and hemp off the list of scheduled. And in the process of doing that, what a president could do right now, if she wanted to, would be to pardon all of those people who have been unjustly incarcerated for use of a substance that is less harmful than cigarettes and alcohol. And while at it, let's restore the right to vote, not only for former convicts, but for people who are serving time right now. You do not surrender your human rights simply because you are serving time. And while we are at it, when we are releasing these people who were wrongly incarcerated to start with, they need to get not only job training, they need a real job at a living wage. We call for jobs as a human right. And in fact, unbeknownst to most people, Americans actually support this. Polls show that Americans actually support the right to a job. And if the private sector does not provide it, then the public sector needs to provide it. We will have a far healthier, more just economy by ensuring that everyone has the right to a job. So this is our main platform plank, which we call a Green New Deal. It's like the New Deal that got us out of the Great Depression, but in this case, it's a green one, so we solve two crises at once. They tell us we're in a recovery. How many people think it's a recovery? No. I'll tell you, it's a recovery for the top 10%. Because the Congressional Budget Office just released some data that tells us 75% of the wealth out there is in the hands of the top 10%. The rest of the wealth is in the hands of the next 40%. In other words, the upper half has almost the entire package of wealth in the top 50%. You know how much wealth is in the hands of half of America? 1%. 1% is what the lower half of America is barely surviving on. Is it any wonder that we are in the crisis that we are in? So we call for an emergency jobs program in the form of the Green New Deal.
Come on.
Because this is that means a minimum of a $15 an hour minimum wage. working under federal contracts, some 100,000 and more people right now could have that living wage. It would pay for itself in benefits to employers, in reduced turnover, in greater productivity. There is no excuse for the president not to raise the federal minimum wage right now. The Green New Deal would create 20 million jobs on an emergency basis. That is enough for everyone to have a good, full-time living wage job. They tell us that all these jobs have come back, and it's true, millions of jobs have come back, but almost entirely, these jobs are low-wage, part-time, temporary, insecure jobs. We need everyone to have a permanent, good wage, living wage, secure job with good benefits. That's what the Green New Deal will bring. And it not only creates these jobs, it provides, for example, to fossil fuel workers and to people in the weapons industry, all of whom need to be transitioned into the peaceful green economy.
That's right.
It provides a job that's not just good for the economy, it's not just good for the planet, it's not just good for international security, it's really good for workers and their health, because walking in the door of a fossil fuel employer, your risk of dying on the job goes up 700% just for walking through the door, and that's just acute injuries and accidents and explosions and fires, just in the acute, immediate days of your job. Then there's the whole issue about the chronic issues, heart disease, and the cancers that come down the line from those kinds, very toxic, from these dastardly exposures. So this is actually good for all of us, and we guarantee, especially for those workers in fossil fuel industries and in the weapons industry, we guarantee a just transition so that there will be no period of unemployment and hardship. This is not about green capitalism. This is not an excuse to fire workers and automate new jobs. This is about creating good jobs that guarantee people good living wages in a healthy working environment. And the bottom line is that a Green New Deal revives the economy. It will prevent catastrophic climate change because we call for 100% clean renewable energy by 2030. Yeah. And we call for an immediate ban on all new fossil fuel infrastructure. Because climate justice, or let me put it another way, climate injustice is inseparable from racial injustice.
Come on.
I used to, in my former life as a medical doctor, now I say I practice political medicine because it's the mother of all illness, and we got to fix that one so we can fix all these other things. But part of my transition was beginning to study environmental health. But what I learned in studying environmental health and going to the communities that are most impacted, that is to say most poisoned,
Come on.
environmental health is basically the study of environmental racism.
Come on.
Is what environmental health
That's what
is
it
about.
That's what it
Because it is the communities of color who are on the front lines and indigenous communities who are on the receiving end of this toxic pollution, of the coal plants, of these polluting facilities, the toxic waste sites, etc. This is about justice. New Orleans, who got hit first and hardest, communities who have been the last to receive relief and to be resettled. Even 11 years after Katrina, there's something like 100,000 African Americans who've not been able to go back to their homes. This is environmental racism. This is economic racism. In the words of Martin Luther King, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We must solve the issue of racial injustice. We are going to solve all the other issues of justice.
Andrew, the one is